Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Rico'S Rants. I am your host, Rico DiGiorgio. So, I got another request. Granted, I had to request a request. You guys are making me work too hard to get, ideas. Come to me. Don't make me come to you. Let's make this a loving relationship, not me being all needy. Fuck. But I did manage to corner someone, wrap him down, say, "What movie do you want me to do?" And this guy, old coworker of mine, friend I haven't seen in a long time, he said, "You could do this one, you could do this one, you could do this one, you could do this one, Raging Bull and that one." And I said, "I know Raging Bull. This motherfucker gave me movies that I have never even heard of. And I call myself a movie buff. What the fuck am I thinking, right?" So I said, "Well, I'll do Raging Bull." So, Jujubee, this one's for you. Raging Bull it is. And incidentally, I just did a De Niro film last night. But you know what? De Niro's great. We'll do another De Niro. We'll have a De Niro night. Incidentally, I'm going to try and make this one of my last cigarettes. It's time for me to quit, guys. I see how I'm coughing in all my videos. Stupidly, I've been battling a cold for the past couple of weeks, and this is not helping. And you know what? They just released the prices to $10. It's time. It's time for me at least try and quit, and maybe quit for a while. So, ironically enough, after I quit, I'm going to be a fucking Raging Bull. No one near me is going to like me. But, whatever. I'll probably live a little longer and... Great. So, Raging Bull. Easily one of Martin Scorsese's masterpieces. If not the film that may have made him him being young filmmaker Martin Scorsese to famed director Martin Scorsese. This is where it saved his life, ironically enough. He wasn't interested in a movie about Jake LaMotta. It took Robert De Niro to visit Scorsese in the hospital after having a cocaine overdose. Which is weird to imagine, but then you look at Scorsese talking, you're like, oh, that dude did a lot of blow. He was known for it. So De Niro said, "You gotta do this film or you're gonna die," essentially. Actually, what he probably said was, "You gotta do this movie. That's what you gotta do. You can't do this shit no more. You gotta make a movie with me, huh?" Anyways. So, Raging Bull is about famed boxer Jake LaMotta. This dude, pound for pound, one of the best boxers in history. He had a steel chin. You couldn't knock him down. As far as I remember reading and seeing the movie, never was knocked down once. Pound for pound, tough. He was known as the Bronx Bull. The Raging Bull is not just a witty title. If you were in the ring with Jake LaMotta, you normally wouldn't last that much with him. Not only would he punish you, but he would punish himself, almost as a test of proving to himself that he can take punishment. And in the film, which, if you are following my videos, you know that I'm a Dago. You know I'm Italian-American. For the most part. I'm half Italian, but all Italians are proud of being Italian. I know people that are an eighth Italian are like, "I'm Italian." No, you're not. You're too tall. I'm 5'6". I'm definitely Italian. And I'm loud, I'm angry, and I can sing Sinatra. I'm Italian. So, granted, I always gravitate a lot towards Italian movies. Scorsese, Coppola, De Niro, Pacino, Sinatra, Dean Martin, all those Dago Wop Giddy bastards. I love them all. So, this film is true Italian American kana. Like, it's, granted, these are not Italians that I grew up with. This is a very much a New York borderline mobster Italian, which thankfully I did not have to grow up with. I grew up with a sort of unconventional Italian American family, or an Italian American father, really. My mother's Norwegian and Scottish and German and shit. Really tall. Didn't get that height. Fuck. So, I always gravitated towards those films. And this is very much, hey, oh, what you doing, eh? What's going on over here? That type of loud, angry as fuck Italian Americans. And De Niro doesn't hold back. De Niro, we've already talked about how impressive De Niro was in my previous video, Taxi Driver. He's scary in that. He is just as scary and just as intimidating and just as imposing in this. And you look at his acting in this as this guy is full on method. Like, he didn't just like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be fat in later years? Okay, I'll put on a fat suit. That's which a lot of actors do. Fucking De Niro packed on 60 pounds to be the fatter, aged out LaMotta in his later years. I mean, granted, it's easier to get fatter than it is to lose weight. But when you look at De Niro's later LaMotta, when he's fat and bloated and sweaty, it looks painful. It looks uncomfortable. You can see De Niro is not comfortable being this heavy. And Italians love to eat. We love a lot of rich pasta. We love a lot of cheese. We love a lot of bread. Everything that Italians cook is fattening. So I'm sure De Niro had a lot of fun adding that extra helping of pasta. But once he was 60 pounds heavier than he normally is, he was probably in a lot of pain. Probably huffing and puffing and not breathing right and slower. And you could see it on film. But when De Niro's young and lean and muscular, he's terrifying. And there's a reoccurring theme in all of Scorsese's films, which is Catholic guilt, Italian American identity, rage and violence, and women that you think are pure, but have just as much of a dark side as the men. Not all the time, but a lot of De Niro's movies have a woman dressed prominently in white, usually blonde, and they're sort of looked upon as angels, and then you find out this angel has got some demon in her. And that's how it is De Niro, LaMotta, starts out as just a normal, small-time boxer, being trained by his younger brother, Joey LaMotta, played by Joe Pesci. Like, young Joe Pesci. I think this was one of Joe Pesci's first roles. This movie came out in 1980. When I was first aware of Joe Pesci, Home Alone, which came out in 90. And I think I saw it when I was 5 years old or something. And I remember years ago, I was watching Goodfellas for the first time, which also has Joe Pesci, which also has Robert De Niro, and which is also directed by Martin Scorsese. And one of these days, I will have to do a video about Goodfellas. And I remember watching it for the first time. I'd heard about it for years, never saw it, bought a copy of it with the intent, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to watch it. Popped in the video cassette. My dad walks by, and he says, "Oh, you're watching this?" I said, "Yeah." This is, and I couldn't really place Joe Pesci. I was like, I know him from something, can't place him. Amazingly, I hadn't seen any Joe Pesci films. And he said, and I was like, "Dad, who is this guy?" He's like, "That's the guy from Home Alone." "What the hell are you talking about?" He's like, "That's one of the burglars in Home Alone." And all of a sudden it clicked. And I became a fan. I was already a fan of Robert De Niro and Pacino, and I was like, who the fuck is this tiny little angry bastard. So I saw a lot of My Cousin Vinny. I saw all the Lethal Weapon movies. I mean, should Joe Pesci work again? Sure, I'd love to see him work again. Is it good that he took a hiatus? Sure. Not everyone needs to see a Joe Pesci movie every year. He's not a movie star. He's an actor who had a good run, takes a break. That was good. But he's really good in Raging Bull. If this was basically his first role, he is perfect. He's diminutive, so he looks weaker than Jake LaMotta, because he is. But he's also the voice of reason, and probably the only person that Jake LaMotta will actually listen to. Even though he's 5'4" and, you know, kind of a high squeaky voice, like, what are you talking about? Like that kind of shit. You can see the only person that Jake LaMotta truly loves is his little brother. But LaMotta has this rage that you cannot hold back. It's impossible. And there's a couple scenes, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie, I'm going to spoil the shit out of it, where Joey LaMotta suffers being the brother of Jake LaMotta. At one point, and I know I'm going all over the place, at one point, De Niro's character, Jake LaMotta, is with a woman who becomes his wife. In a really weird, creepy way, he first meets his wife when she's like 16. And he's clearly like in his mid to late 20s. And he already was married to another woman who burnt his steak. That's all I got to say about that one. And he like is flirting with her, and she and him go out, and then they get married, and it's really kind of creepy. Like, I don't know what the laws were back then, but you don't fuck a 16-year-old, especially if you're 26, 10 years older. It's just creepy, dude. So at one point, because he's so paranoid and so territorial and so possessive of his young wife, played really well by Kathy Moriarty. And to throw out another movie that she was in, if you don't recognize her, she played the villain to Casper, that crazy, whiny, like gold digging woman. That's the only other movie I can think of apart from Analyze That. So if you haven't seen Analyze That, oh well. Casper. Everyone saw Casper. My dad saw Casper. Didn't like Casper, but he saw it. So she understands that he's being possessive, and he starts accusing her of fucking other people. And she keeps denying it. And finally she has enough. She's like, yeah, you're right. All right, I fucked everybody. I fucked that guy, and I fucked your brother too. I sucked his cock. Terrible, stupid fucking thing to say. So now Jake LaMotta goes to his brother's house, beats the shit out of his little brother, and starts yelling at him, and he says, you fuck my wife? Did you fuck my wife? He's like, no, it's a stupid thing. I never would do that fucking shit. You're a sick son of a bitch. And their relationship ends. Then his wife leaves him. And then he's aged out. He's fat. He's no longer a boxer. And now he's running a nightclub. And every night he tries some jokes. He gets up on stage, quotes Shakespeare, quotes Brando, quotes and tries to be a funny guy, a lounge act, essentially, at his own club. And it's pathetic. This was a young, virile, raging bull of a man who's knocking down people left and right, who went toe-to-toe with, I think he went against fucking Ali at one point. Or he definitely went against Sugar Ray Leonard. And there's a whole line where he says, you never got me down, Ray. You never got it. Ray is beating the fuck out of him. Did knock him down. And he goes up to Ray at the other side of the ring, all bruised up, all bloody. His eyes are swollen shut, and he says, "You never got me down. You never got me down, Ray." Just to show, as hard as you hit me, you didn't get me down. What else you got? So now he's pathetic. Now he's fat. Now he's useless, and he's depressed, and he's angry. He's just as angry, but the only person he hates now is himself. There's no one else to attack. There's no one else to pin his rage on. So, one night, he gets arrested for, I can't remember either. I think he just had a young girl at his restaurant and club who was underage, and I mean underage, like 14. I think he slept with her, even though she had an ID or something, or she said she was 23 or something. And he sleeps with her, and now the cops arrest him. He tries to, I think he tries to bribe the cops or something. It's been years. I really should have seen this, but I don't have the movie in front of me, and I want to do a review on the spot, just for fun. Just for the challenge. And there's a great pivotal scene where he is in his cell, angry, crying, raging, and screaming, and he's punching the fucking wall repeatedly with no boxing gloves, just bare wall, bare fist, just boom, 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 and grunting and screaming, and he's saying, "I'm not an animal. I'm not an animal." Like, almost like the fucking Elephant Man. He's like, "I'm not an animal, no!" Fucking going crazy. Now we know that this man is not just... He's aware that he's alienated himself from his family, his wife, his kids. He's no longer popular. He's no longer the champion of the world. He is an animal, and he's aware of it, but he hates himself, and he hates to admit it. That everything he's said and done has been a negative thing on his entire life. But there's this thing about Italian Americans called pride. Now, you take pride to an average man. I'm not wrong. I know what I did. Italian Americans are different. And I mean that seriously. It's almost in a weird way a type of... It's almost like a mental defect. My father, for example, I have gone to him and I've said, "Do you think you were wrong here? Clearly you made a mistake. Can you acknowledge it?" "No, I didn't do anything wrong." "But don't you understand that you caused a bigger problem?" "No. It's not my problem. I didn't offend anybody. It's their fault for being offended." And this happens a lot. I've seen it a lot. And I see it in this character. I see it in this person. I know people like Jake LaMotta. I live with someone reminiscent of Jake LaMotta. Not exactly. So that's basically the character and more or less the story. As a film, cinematically, it's amazing. It's one of the greater boxing movies. It's definitely up there, toe-to-toe, pun intended, with Rocky. Rocky is a completely different movie. Rocky is all about heart and going up against the odds and being an underdog. Raging Bull is being your own worst enemy. He's fighting himself in the ring. Rocky is fighting everyone in the ring to get to where he has to be. At least the first Rocky is, and also Rocky 2. But Raging Bull is all about, I hate myself, and that's why he lets people punch him in the face and doesn't block it. He knows he's an animal. He knows he's an asshole. He knows he's vicious. And like a lot of vicious animals, he wants to be put down. So he lets it. The cinematography is amazing. And Scorsese does a very interesting thing where it's in black and white. Now, it could be because it's a period piece set during the 50s. But it's not just that. It's that I think if he was in the ring and it shows him getting punched up and bloody, and this is very graphic for a boxing film, there are parts where like he's in the ring and he's getting punched on and punching someone else, and blood is spraying on the audience. Because it's black and white, they use an old trick, which was they use chocolate syrup. Which is kind of funny to imagine that these people all of a sudden have chocolate syrup just sprayed in their face. It's still horrifying to watch because you're just like, oh my god, fuck. You know, imagine you're in ringside watching the most brutal boxing match of your life. And then all of a sudden a sea of blood just drenches you like a fucking Blue Man Group concert. You know, or a Gallagher watermelon. Imagine it's blood, but it's really chocolate syrup. It was a better decision to make it black and white because it's an abnormal boxing film. It was abnormal for 1980 to have a black and white film unless you were being weird like David Lynch. If you're trying to make a weird cerebral art film, black and white is your way to go. But for a boxing movie about an Italian-American angry dude, no. Unless it was in the 50s. So, real smart decision by Scorsese. It saved his life. He quit his cocaine habit. And he made amazing films from then on. He made some stinkers. New York, New York was terrible. Catchy fucking song. Peace, Sinatra. Didn't have Sinatra. It was Liza Minnelli, but she's good in it. Kind of. De Niro's kind of good in it. He made The King of Comedy with De Niro. I mean, every Scorsese movie is either Leo DiCaprio or fucking De Niro. I mean, you really can't. Well, one of my favorite movies with Scorsese is the one with either De Niro or Leo DiCaprio. Find me one. I mean, oh, I guess he did one with Daniel Day-Lewis. One. He did one. Easily an iconic film. Nothing comes close to a certain degree in terms of sports films. Like I said, Rocky is up there, but Rocky's a radically different film. The Fighter is a great boxing film, but very different. Fighter is more reminiscent of Rocky. It's all underdog, I want to fight hard. Same with Cinderella Man. All the successful boxing movies are known because it's an underdog or it's a guy who overcame an obstacle, like that new one that came out with Miles Teller, Bleed for This, where, based on a true story, he gets his neck broken, he's told to never walk again, he works out tremendously, starts lifting weights again, gets back in the ring, becomes a fucking champion of the world. That's an underdog story. That's him overcoming major obstacles. Raging Bull is about taking your inner demons and putting them in the ring and punishing them. No other movie that I could think of came close. With the exception of The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. And that's also another different film. I mean, it's The Wrestler is basically if you took Raging Bull and Rocky Balboa and combined it and made it wrestling, there you go. That's what it is. Will I watch Raging Bull again? Absolutely. It's absolutely a tremendous film, and I will keep continuing watching it again and again and again. De Niro earned his Oscar. De Niro, the film studio and Scorsese and Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro were all sued by Jake LaMotta and Joey LaMotta. And then they saw the movie, and I think they reconciled. They were like, we were terrible to each other. I think I remember reading Jake LaMotta said, I had no idea. I didn't realize I was this bad until I saw myself on screen. And that's that Italian pride. You need to have it shoved in your face to be like, you made a mistake. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. It's on screen. Oh, yeah. Fuck. Guess I did. Kathy Moriarty's great. Joe Pesci's great. Scorsese has made, in my opinion, I prefer some movies more than Raging Bull. But Raging Bull, just for the scenes, just for the innovation that he does, which is when just for the amazing ideas and ways that he filmed Raging Bull, like, he gets in the ring with LaMotta. Like, you feel in the ring. I can't help but shadow box when I'm watching it. And it looks raw. It looks real. It looks brutal. I would never want to be in this ring. So, what would I give it? Can you guess? 5 stars. I don't give anything else. I love something, I love it. I give 4 stars and 3 stars occasionally, but this is a 5-star film. Everyone who's seen this film says this is an amazing film. I believe it. I'm saying it. So, I'm going to end the video. Please like, please subscribe, please comment, please share. Juju, this one was for you. Hope you enjoyed it. And I got one thing I got to say to you. This is it. Okay.